I just worked up an amazing load for this full custom 6x47 rifle we built here on the channel. In this video, I'm going to talk in depth about the ultra precision Triebel dies I used to load this ammo. We're going to get them set up, walk through the loading process from A to Z, and show some really amazing shooting results at the range. Hey guys, Gavin Gear here from UltimateReloader.com. The build that we did here with this 6x47 was a ton of fun. We're talking about a Woox Furiosa Ultra stock with a bat hammerhead action, the latest and greatest from Bat Machine with 75-degree bolt throw. We've got a Leupold Mark IV HD scope, Krieger 1 7.5 barrel blank that we chambered here in that story. You will definitely want to watch that story. Now, we've been waiting for dies from Triebel, and so for the first story, we actually loaded ammunition with kind of a makeshift setup with regard to dies. Necked some 6.5 Lapua down, we're using Lapua brass here, and figured out how to seat the bullets to a satisfactory degree with non-standard dies. Now we have these dies. This is the full-length sizer, and this is the bench rest seater. We do have a complete video that gives an in-depth overview of all of the different dies that are offered from Triebel. You can get those at Creedmoor Sports. Really amazing precision. So the load that we're using uses 110 grain Hornady A-tip bullets and Hodgdon H4350 with those Lapua cases. This turned out to be a truly amazing load, and we'll get to that when we get to the powder charge, because that's the last thing that we'll need to talk about for the full load specifics, and arriving at the optimal cartridge overall length using the Loctite method. So first, let's talk about these dies and get each of them set up. So starting with the dies, 6x47 is a new offering from Triebel. In fact, I specifically requested it, hence needing to wait a little bit longer for the dies as they developed their CNC programming and whatnot. So this is the full-length sizer. This is the bench rest seater. And in order to work on these dies, we're going to need a few tools. We've got a 3mm hex key. This is the screwdriver ball end type. And then we've got a 5mm wrench, a 10mm wrench, and a 19mm wrench. So for instance, if we want to remove the decapping rod from the full-length sizer, we can use that 19mm wrench to just crack this top nut. I've already cleaned the die out. We already have good decapping pin protrusion there. So I'm just going to go ahead and lock that down. And then I've already gone through the setup on this once, obviously to load the ammo that I've already been working with regard to the load development. We're just going to raise the ram. Okay, give it just a little bit of pressure, kind of cam over type pressure, and then get the lock ring down into place. And we're going to double check that, make sure that we like where that die is sitting at. Next, I'm going to take some pieces of brass. I think we'll do 10 cartridges total. This is going to be the same exact load that we did last time. We went through a couple different processes getting this brass formed. So I'm going to go ahead and use Imperial sizing wax, get the outside of these cases lubed, and also use a Q-tip to get the inside of the case necks. All right, so to check our sizer die setup, we're going to evaluate what our shoulder bump is with the datum dial from Forster Products. We know that the datum line is 0.4 inches in diameter for the 308 family of cartridges like this 6x47. And so I've got that rolled into position. And what I can do is take one of these cases, turn this on. We're just going to go ahead and zero this out so that a fired case will read 0, and I like to just kind of recheck. Yep, that rolls right back to 0. Okay, make sure I have enough lube on this guy. I've been handling it. Go ahead and size it and deprime. Nice and smooth. The case lube works good. And now we're going to check it again and see where we're at. I was at 0 last time. We're at 0 this time. And it turns out that it chambered smoothly. So that's definitely going to work. So that's really all we need to do for sizer die setup. We could crank it a little bit further down or up, depending on where that shoulder bump value was. I like to go between 0, if it's going to chamber reliably, and about 1.5 thousandths of shoulder bump for a precision bolt action rifle. If we really wanted to get particular, we could use the adjustable shell holder setup here and get that, 1 to 1.5 thou shoulder bump. But I did chamber a piece of brass, and since it was smooth, I feel like that's good. We're depriming. So I'm going to go ahead and go through these 10 cases. All sized and deprimed. Before I continue, I like to wipe off the excess case lube. Okay, got my priming set up in the other room. Gonna go take care of that. I'll be back. Okay, so for powder, we're using the RCBS Chargemaster Link, which is a really, really good buy. The thing is fast, it works great, and it's got Bluetooth. So, let's see, go ahead and 0 that, and we're set up for 36 grains. So I'm the kind of guy I like to multitask, so we're gonna kind of charge cases while we're getting bullet seating set up. It's kind of the way I work behind the scenes. We'll give that a try in this video. Okay, so there's 136 charge. Let that continue. Okay, so let's talk about the bullet seating die. This is the bench rest seater. So where I started with this was, it's really critical to think about what bullet seating stem is going to work best. And I have a whole selection of these here from Triebel. And what I did was I took a bullet. I'm going to keep this going as well while we're talking. Since powder charging can take a while, I like to keep things rolling. Yeah, so take the bullet and then test the fit with different seating stems. That one's not too bad. It has a little bit of wobble. A lot of wobble on that one, and so on and so forth. Just so it turned out that this one fits really nice and snug. And if you're going to take this off, you want to take your 3mm hex key and your 5mm wrench, and then these just screw right off of the spindle there. Very easy to change. You can screw this back on. Helps to use the 5mm wrench. Okay. Snug that up. Now that's installed, we can basically put this back into the die. We're going to need our 19 wrench for that. And since we're going to mimic a from scratch install, I'm going to use my 10mm here, crack that nut for the cedar plug elevation, right? So now we can take this, put it on the press, go over and charge another one of these guys. Nice. Okay, so what I'm going to do is take one of these charged cases, charged and primed. We're going to put it in the shell holder, elevate the ram, and then crank down the die until we feel it hit something, either the shell holder or the body. So that's not even hitting the shell holder. I'm going to back it off just slightly and then hand tighten the lock ring. We'll tighten those a little bit later, probably after the video. When I'm setting up dies, I like to, leave things kind of hand tight for the initial phases. All right, so we've got the die elevation itself set using just a case. We're going to take the case out, and then we can start with our dummy cartridge. This is the one that we used with the Loctite, or we actually have a complete loaded round of ammunition that's at exactly the right bullet seating depth. And I'm just going to crank this down like so. I can feel some slight resistance, and then we'll go ahead and lock. This is at about 20 thou off the lance, just like that. And so that should be about where we need to be for this guy. That was the reference cartridge. Now we can seat one of these. Okay, that's one that we just loaded. We're going to remove our datum dial, clean the jaws, do a fresh 0 on this guy, and then see where we're at with our cartridge overall length. This is 2.755. And let's see, let's grab the dummy round. This is at lands. See where we're at here. 2.755. I was at 2.751 was the specification. This is definitely close enough for our load development. If we wanted to crank it down that little bit, we would just crack the 10mm nut here and screw down the spindle there. Okay, so that's looking good. I'm going to continue charging cases, and then we'll seat bullets. All right, done with powder charging. So everything's charged. We've got our bullet seater set up, and that means it's time to seat some bullets. And this really is kind of my favorite part of precision loading, is seating bullets. Why? It's fluid. It feels a little bit more slick and graceful, I guess, and it's kind of the completion process, right? There's a nice round of ammunition. And this ammunition is something special. This 110 grain A-tip load definitely is shooting even better than the 105 burger load. Now that we have the right dies, and now that we have fire-formed brass, maybe it's time to give the burger 105 another try. It was also with H4350, but I think we were somewhere closer to half MOA with that load. And that's just kind of part of the fun of load development, is you just really never know what's going to happen. So there we go. This Area 4190 Zero Press working really good with these Triebel dies. So what matters most, right, is what happens on target. And it's just a really good feeling to start with a new bullet for a particular load, new cartridge. I have not loaded 6x47 very much here. To go to Hodgdon's website, I know H4350 is good stuff for this cartridge. I got the load data. It looks like 38.6 grains is max for 108. That was the closest bullet weight that I had to go from. And so I thought what I would do is just use the same 36 grain charge weight that we did with the Burger 105, which is going to push this a little bit closer to max, but obviously we're down from there, right? And so I got everything set up at our mid-mountain range. We got our long shot camera system in place. We got the bench rest set up. We have all of our lighting set up. And it was time to shoot, right? This rifle, it's just amazing. It tracks really good in the bench rest, triggered nice and crisp and clean. And so we shot 5 shots. I want to show you that. This was the result. What a great thing to see on target for the first 5-round group that you shoot for the day. 5 shots went into .236 inches at 100 yards. And then I thought, I want to make sure that that wasn't a fluke. Let's shoot another 5 rounds. And that was .275 inches for 5 shots at 100 yards, right? So we're right there in that quarter MOA ballpark. This is really, really great performance. Our velocity, about 2750. SD was 16.7, and I think the extreme spread was somewhere in 32.6, something like that, right? So if we go further with the load development, it's going to be to get that standard deviation on our velocity a little bit further down. But man, in terms of just group size, this rifle is a tack driver. So obviously the Triebel 6x47 dies did the job. These dies are like jewelry. And if you want to know more about the entire lineup, I suggest you watch our Triebel die overview video. If you want to purchase these dies here in the United States, you're going to want to go over to Creedmoor Sports. This has been a lot of fun, and I'm telling you, I really like the 6x47. Very little recoil, very streamlined load development with a really good rifle and great components that we're using. And I'm curious to see where this is going to go. This would be an ideal PRS rifle. What I'd like to know is, are you using Triebel dies? What are you using them for? Are you loading 6x47? What bullets are working really good for you? What powder's working good for you? Drop a comment and let's start that discussion down in the comments section. Thank you very much for watching. That concludes this video, and that means it's time to wrap it up. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, we're on Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, where we've got unrestricted content, and Instagram. Make sure to follow us on all those channels. Ultimate Reloader also has a commercial solutions division serving law enforcement, the military, and the gun industry. We have some unique capabilities, including a comprehensive suite of recoil testing and evaluation capabilities, trigger profiling, and more. If you're interested in custom rifles like what we build here on the channel or gunsmithing services, you're going to want to go to rifles.ultimatereloader.com and get on the wait list. Thanks again for watching.